Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Paul Brown Show. This evening, my guest will be Dr. Joyce Waddell. She is a candidate for the Senate District 40th seat in North Carolina. How you doing there, Dr. Waddell?
I'm doing great, and it's great to see you, Paul.
Hey, good to see you too. Tell the audience a little bit about Dr. Joyce Waddell.
Dr. Joyce Waddell is a public servant, having served 4 years already on the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Board of Education. Dr. Joyce Waddell works each and every day in this community to make the community a better place. You may see her sometimes at the soup kitchen, serving people. You may see her sometimes assisting with food and donations, picking up, taking to people in need. You may see her sometimes filling out papers for those who are seeking services through our social agencies in North Carolina. You may see her just speaking out on issues that involves this community. You see her every day making Charlotte-Mecklenburg a better place in which to live. Several projects that we're working on now, volunteer projects. Many of the things I do, I don't have a regular job. So what I do in this community is to make the community better. We're working on one of our exciting projects now with gardening, and I partner with a person, an agency, and we're doing fresh fruits and vegetables. We're going to do plantings, focusing on senior citizens to help them know about nutrition, to help them with their health issues, and to know how to make healthy meals. So Dr. Joyce Waddell is always in the community, making it a better place, serving on many of the boards and programs dealing with young children, doing workshops at daycare centers, at centers that serve children in preschool and early childhood, and after school programs. And so I call myself often a public servant, also a consultant for early childhood education.
You're a busy young lady. And what made you decide to want to run for this 40th District Senate seat currently being vacated by Senator Malcolm Graham?
You know, many of the things that happen in the Senate are things that affect the very lives of people in Charlotte. We're talking about Senate seat 40, not to be confused. Senate seat 40 that serves Mecklenburg County. Okay. And that's an important Senate seat. All of the action, most of the action there would take place in Raleigh. To be on the forefront, helping to shape legislations that involves the very lives of our everyday people, the very lives of our businesses, the very lives of our economic development, the very lives of health care in Mecklenburg County. And to be there where laws are made, to be able to talk with people, influence people, to listen to constituents back in Mecklenburg County, gather information, and then move forward to make things happen. Often things that happen in Mecklenburg County, we say, why did we have to do this? How did this come about? Well, this is what Raleigh said we have to do. I want to be there. I want to be there when it says this is what Raleigh says that we have to do, to make certain that what we're doing is fair, is equitable, and Mecklenburg County gets its fair share of what is to be gotten as a result of the legislation that's taking place.
Why is it so important for us as citizens within the 40th District to have such a outstanding individual like yourself representing us in Raleigh, letting them know about the concerns that we have?
You know, each and every day you want to touch people. You want to listen to people. And you want to walk in their shoes. You want to make certain that Mecklenburg County is fairly represented. Often people come and they lobby and they say what they want. We listen in the 40th District, and we take those concerns to Raleigh. You know, before I took this position, we often went to Raleigh to talk to legislators, to talk to senators, to talk to our representatives and say, this is what we want in Mecklenburg County. These are the laws that affect us each and every day. I'm here. I'm a product of District 40. I feel your pulse. I hear what you have to say. I respond to your issues.
Why is it so important that you are readily available to the citizens and to hear our concerns?
I don't have a regular job. My job is the people's job. My job is what people say they want. And I ask everybody, each and every voting citizen, to register to vote, because our laws are going to be a little bit different this time. When we go to vote this time, we will not have straight party ticket voting. You will not be able to pull that one lever and vote your straight party ticket. Okay. So you're going to have to take time to look at each and every entity on that ballot and select the person that you want to represent you. You're going to have to do a lot of homework, a lot of studying. As you go to the Board of Elections, they will provide you with the names, the positions of everyone who's running. So not being able to pull a straight party ticket, people say, who would I vote for? I want them to hear the name Joyce Waddell. I want them to know my record. I just didn't start yesterday. I've been out here for the last 30 years, working each and every day for people, to make Charlotte better, to make our communities better, to make economic values better. I'll continue to do so. So voting is going to be an important thing. And one of the things I would encourage citizens to do, as you think about District 40, as you think about this Senate position that's coming forward, think about voting early. Think about voting absentee if you cannot be there. And you can do that early. Get an absentee ballot, request one. Go to the Board of Elections or call your community representative. Neighborhoods do a lot. Call your precinct representative. Go and get an absentee ballot and vote that way. If you know people in your community who are indigent, people who are sick, people who are going to be out of town and cannot vote, have them also to vote absenteeism.
Okay.
Don't ever give up an opportunity to vote. You know, some of the greatest legislations throughout history that we've experienced have been the Voting Rights Act, where it gave people the right to vote. People have died for the right to vote, for representation. And we cannot pass up an opportunity just because laws are different. And then there's the ID bill that will be coming forward, not this time, but next time. But we must prepare for that too. Voter ID, because things are going to be different. These are things that came from Raleigh.
Correct.
That's where they were enacted. That's where they made a difference. So it's important that we have our senators, our representatives, and that people like Joyce Waddell is there to make a difference when it comes to these laws that come forward.
It's your 11th term. What do you base your success on?
Well, I mean, I think the success that I've had as a member of Congress is based on what I was doing before I went to Congress, really. I mean, I was born and raised in this community in Charlotte, Mecklenburg. Grew up here, went to public schools here, went away to undergraduate school at Chapel Hill and to Yale Law School, but came back in the early 70s and spent a lot of time in the community because I came to a law firm that was in the process of changing the Charlotte community. And I've witnessed all of the changes that have taken place, many of the changes that have taken place in our community over the years. So going to Congress was kind of a logical extension of what I was already doing, and so I think that's been very beneficial to me. I've seen the challenges of our community, and I've seen the successes of our community, and I think I have had a better understanding of what those challenges are and what opportunities can be there if we take advantage of them to create opportunity for everybody in the community. So I think that's probably sums it up pretty well.
And I applaud you, sir, because you've done a great job representing the 12th District.
Thank you.
And I just want to ask a question as far as gun control. Do you think there should be more restriction on guns in our community?
Well, you know, the Supreme Court has now said that subject to certain limitations, the Second Amendment has as much force and impact as the First and the Third and the Fourth and all of the rest of the amendments. So, in a sense, I guess that would lead one to the conclusion that possibly anybody's entitled to have guns anywhere, anytime they want. But there are reasonable limitations on every amendment to the Constitution. The First Amendment says that we should make no laws related to that would restrict speech or religion, but obviously we have multiple laws that restrict speech and religion. You can't scream fire in a crowded theater. That's the general legal rule. That would be the ultimate free speech if you could say anything, anywhere, anytime. And the same thing applies in gun control. Reasonable constraints can be placed on the possession, use, ownership, sale of guns, just like we can place reasonable restrictions on speech. And we've placed some restrictions on guns. We probably need to consider placing additional restrictions on the sale and use of guns. And so I'm open to that, although I'm not, it's not one of the things that I'm out there agitating for on a continuing basis, just like I'm not out there agitating to control speech more and more and more. I mean, it's all of these things have to be done with some degree of moderation.
I know we have a big issue in our, not only community, but country on unemployment. How do we solve that problem?
Well, I think first of all, you got to understand that there are a number of jobs that are out there unfilled, and they are unfilled because a lot of people don't have the qualifications that the jobs require, and that's because the job market has evolved over a period of time from an agrarian society, agricultural society, to a manufacturing society, to a technological society now. And so the first thing you got to do to get people employed is to get them educated to the levels that they need to be to take advantage of the jobs that are out there that exist. The estimate is that if we just fill the vacant jobs that are out there that people don't possess the qualifications for, we would bring down unemployment by 1.5% to 2%. Now that wouldn't get you everywhere you need, right. So you need to be creating additional jobs, and I think part of that challenge is bringing manufacturing and other jobs back to the United States that have gone offshore looking for lower wages. Primarily, that's why they've gone offshore. And a lot of companies are now realizing that lower wages without the skill sets and commitment of workers is not as important as having good workers who are willing to go to work and do the work at high quality levels. So we're seeing a lot of companies that are bringing jobs back to the United States, and some of that has to do with tax policy. Okay. So there are, as with most issues that we deal with, there's no one answer to solving unemployment problem or the employment issue. There are multiple things that need to be done and can be done to address the issue.
Or how about the individuals that are probably considered to be overqualified? You know, the individuals that have the higher education but still can't get that job.
Well, overqualification is, I mean, you have to talk about what that means. You can be overqualified for one thing and underqualified for the thing that's available, right? So we've got a lot of people who have college degrees, even, who still don't have the technology skills to do technology jobs that are available. So you can be very qualified for some set of jobs and still not very qualified for the jobs that for other set of jobs. I'm underqualified to be a baseball player, probably qualified to be a lawyer or a congressman, underqualified to be a computer operator.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I'm just not technologically savvy, and a lot of the jobs now require technological knowledge and savvy, and that's why our community colleges have become so important, because actually in solving the joblessness problem or the unemployment problem, community colleges have become a lot more important than four-year colleges, because they can train people in 6 months to do the skills that they need to have to actually do the jobs, rather than giving them a four-year general education that sometimes doesn't train you for much of anything other than you're able to hold up a piece of paper and say, I got a diploma. Or a degree, I guess, is the right term for it.
12th district at one time was home to the second largest concentration of financial services entities of any congregational district in the country, second only to the district that included New York Wall Street area. What did you base that success to, or being in that?
Well, it became, Charlotte became, in the 12th district, became a home to financial services companies, primarily because North Carolina had banking laws that were friendly to financial services businesses. North Carolina is one of the first states to allow interstate branching of banks. Bank of America, it wasn't Bank of America at that time, I guess it was Bank of Charlotte, then it became Bank of North Carolina, then it became NCNB, then it became Nations Bank, and then Bank of America. But it started by being able to put branches in other states, when a lot of other states were not allowing that to their home-based financial services businesses to do that. So I've been blessed to represent a district that still has the second largest concentration next to Wall Street of financial services industries. And it's been a fun district to represent for that reason, because sometimes banks have been responsible and sometimes banks have not been responsible. And so I have to use the carrot sometimes, and I have to use the stick sometimes, so to speak, if you understand what I'm saying. Yes, so, coming out of a law practice that in which I had represented small business clients and understood the language of business, I think has been very beneficial to me in understanding the issues, and then ending up from the very first day in Congress, serving on the Financial Services Committee has been extremely beneficial. So I've had to understand the consumer aspects and the business aspects and try to balance those. And in many respects, that's what good legislators do, find out what the interests of people are and try to balance them, because that's what legislation should be all about.
Another exciting episode of the Paul Brown Show. This evening, my guest will be Senator Malcolm Graham. He's a candidate for the North Carolina Congressional 12th District seat. How you doing there, Senator Graham?
I'm great. I'm glad to be back with you today.
Thank you, sir, for coming back on the show. Why do you want to represent the North Carolina 12th District?
I want to create a better nation. I want to create a nation where if charity and welfare is no longer needed, and that if you're sick and need medical attention, that you can get it, that if you're hungry and you want to be fed, you can get something to eat, that if you're able-bodied and looking for a job, that you can find a job, a good-paying job, a job that pays more than just a minimum wage, but pays a living wage, that if you need shelter from the storm and the rain, that you can get housing and help build and sustainable communities and neighborhoods, and good schools will be provided for all. I just want to go about creating a nation and building a nation starting right here in North Carolina 12th Congressional District. And I believe that if the citizens of Winston-Salem and Greensboro and High Point, Salisbury, Charlotte, and Concord would all work together, we can be an example for the nation and nation building right here in North Carolina's 12th Congressional District. And that's why I want to run for Congress.
For individuals who've been probably in a cave somewhere that doesn't know Senator Malcolm Graham, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I came to Charlotte in 1981 on a tennis scholarship from Johnson C. Smith University. Met my wife on campus. She was a freshman, I was a senior at the time, and we dated for 4 years, and she graduated 4 years later in May. We got married that November, and we've been married now for some 26 years. 2 daughters. My oldest is a junior at Winston-Salem State University, Courtney, and my youngest is a sophomore at Fayetteville State University. I work at Johnson C. Smith University today. I'm Special Assistant to the President for Community Engagement and Government Affairs, and responsible for the revitalization of the West Trade Street, Batesville Road corridor in terms of the areas around the university. I served for 6 years on the Charlotte City Council and did a lot of good work there. Helped build an arena, bring the CIAA tournament to Charlotte, helped transform Piedmont Courts into Siegel Points. Piedmont Court, as you know, was crime and drug infested, right. And we transformed that community, helped put the transit in place, and now we're building a $485 million transit line up from Uptown Charlotte to the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. I'm serving my 10th year, believe it or not, Paul, as a member of the North Carolina State Senate. And I chair the Mecklenburg delegation, and we did some good work in the state Senate, passing comprehensive gang legislation, keeping our kids away from gang and gang violence, as well as putting tougher penalties in place for those who recruit our kids to being in gangs. Led a 2-day town hall meeting in Charlotte, the Charlotte Mecklenburg African American Agenda, where we talked about building an agenda for the African American community right here in Charlotte, and identified 3 priority areas in terms of education, healthcare, and economic development. And as a result of that summit, was able to get a $500,000 Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation grant for the Charlotte Mecklenburg school system. So I've been working in this community for the last 25 years trying to build a better community.
You've done a great job, Senator Graham. What does this vast amount of experience in politics, why does this make you so important right now for this position?
Well, I think I'm uniquely qualified for the and you used the word position, but I use a different word, the job. Okay. I'm not really interested in the position of a congressman. I really want the job. And I want to wake up every morning and go to work on behalf of the citizens of the 12th Congressional District. I think my experience as a nonprofit executive director, a corporate leader, an educator at Johnson C. Smith University, a former member of the Charlotte City Council, and a state senator gives me a unique perspective to go to Washington, D.C. prepared and ready than most of my opponents. And so I think experience matters. Congressman Waddell has represented this district with distinction for 22 years, and you don't replace someone with that much experience with someone with none. I come with a host of experience, ready and prepared to be the next congressman serving and working for the citizens of the 12th Congressional District.
Some of the issues that I would like to discuss that I've gotten is education. Why is that a great equalizer?
Well, it is. It's just like you said. Education is the great equalizer. It's the foundation for economic development. It's the foundation for getting a good job for our youngsters. So, obviously, I'm a big advocate of education. I think how we deliver public education in America has to change. It already has changed. I think we need to have great public institutions in terms of making sure that we give teachers a honest day's pay for honest day's work, that we give them resources that they need to be successful, like teachers' assistants and guidance counselors and school nurses, that we cap the number of students that can be in the classroom, that the federal government play a bigger role in terms of how public education is delivered by helping school systems and state with school construction and other amenities. So I think that's really important. I don't think we should run away from the topics of charter schools. Charter schools are public institutions as well. They give another alternatives for parents who are looking for a way to educate their kids. And I think we ought to focus primarily on STEM education. These are the jobs of the 21st century: science, technology, engineering, and math, making sure that our students are prepared in those 4 core areas. And then lastly, as I was saying earlier today, vocational education is so important. Some kids do not want to go to college, and that's okay. But there are a number of trades and work that they can do that does not require a college education, does require training in those specific fields, in like plumbing or electrician or painting. Those lead to entrepreneurship, where folks can open up their own shops and make a good living. So I think how we talk about education in America, how we deliver public education in America has already changed. And as your next congressman, I will embrace those changes and begin to articulate why those things are so important for our community.
We're running short on time, Senator Graham. If someone want to get in contact with you, how would they go about doing that?
www.malcolmgrahamforcongress.com. That's FOR, malcolmgrahamforcongress.com, Facebook and Twitter.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank Senator Graham for coming on the show, and get out there and get involved. Vote. You be encouraged. Thank you.